Now let's take a look at the 1 in a million shots in nature. Eternity Lab. The world's largest flower will definitely impress a girl on a first date. This giant reaches a diameter of up to 1 meter and weighs up to 9 kilograms. To make it easier for you to find it, I will say, it is called Rafflesia arnoldi and grows in Indonesia. But there is one catch: the flower does not smell very good and attracts insects with the aroma of rotten meat. It's not the work of artists or marketers. In fact, a rare variety of corn is called a glass gem. Imagine what colorful popcorn it will turn out to be. Now look at the sky. It is beautiful at any time of the day, but let's see what light and air can create. Usually, the light of a flashlight is scattered in an open space. What kind of trick is going on here? Either it's a fake backdrop, or there's something wrong with the air. For some reason, the lantern leaves an outlined shadow, as if its owner lives in an artificial reality like the Truman Show. How else can you explain this clear circle from the lantern in the sky behind the tree? Do you agree that this is a strange effect? Another reason to think we're living in a simulation game. How can real clouds be so fun? It turns out that jellyfish can be found not only in the water. At first, an eyewitness thought that it was a falling plane, but many things are encountered for the first time in life, and the jellyfish in the sky too. Sometimes the clouds look like alien interference. If you thought quicksand were only found in hot countries, here's an example from Chicago. It's like a scene from a fantasy movie, as if the sand is rubber. The Siwa Salt Lake in Egypt is the perfect bath that offers not just crystal clear water, but allows you to easily hang on to it thanks to its high salt content. Water is a miracle of nature in itself, and it has so many fun of its own. Why fix something that already works perfectly? Water transfer is established without losing even a drop. The correct diameter and feed angle is just an accurate calculation and no unnecessary details. If it seems to you that the fish are swimming on the lawn, you just fell for the bait yourself. This water is so crystal clear that it is almost invisible. Such a bubble can be created by water that has accumulated under the green carpet of the lawn, and it can be quite treacherous if you joke with it. Now about life. There are so many forms of life on Earth that we are not aware of all their diversity. Remember this video in case you ever feel like sticking your finger in a hole in the beach sand. This video is for all beach lovers. Australian beach worms with their razor-sharp teeth sometimes reach up to 3 meters in length. I hope you didn't rush to change the route and air tickets for the vacation you bought. It's not a cosmic black blanket that attacks a crab. Jokes aside, that's how the flat sea worm known as the Ida polyclade behaves, but it's essentially the same invader. The very case when the sea urchin from Guatemala looks very similar to an ordinary forest urchin from the Middle Belt. This plant is called untouchable and also a sleeping tree. Now you will understand why. It really does not like touch. The most exciting moments during a solar eclipse can be seen not in the sky, but right under your feet. This video is for those who still think that lightning never strikes twice in the same place. And how it hits, they say that the exception only proves the rule. Everyone was a little confused and scared by this object in the sky, but the guy who filmed it turned out to be a solid realist. He claimed that the mysterious object in the sky was ordinary smoke. Everyone would have such nerves. Nature creates ingenious canvases. A rainbow is obtained when sunlight passes through ice crystals in a cloud. The pink sausage from the cloud is fascinating, but when it approaches, the size is a little disturbing. Those who suffer from arachnophobia are not recommended to visit Brazil, Indonesia, and Australia. From time to time, entire provinces there can be covered in cobwebs. If you see a shaggy spot on the wall, you are unlikely to immediately guess that this is not moss, but a commune of spiders. Some daredevils are even ready to take a clump of centipedes with their bare hands. Probably believe in the proverb that a lot of spiders are for money. The good news is that they're not dangerous. If they feel threatened, they'll just start vibrating. The main thing is not to advance, otherwise the money will not come. If you run into these guys in the sea or ocean, don't be afraid that it's an alien landing party. Harmless creatures, a colony of marine shells, does not pose any threat. In this footage from the Bahamas, a certain monster appears in front of us. But if you have not heard of sea slugs, then you can remember the Harry Potter movies. This Dementor-like creature is just a harmless sea cloak. This reptilian muzzle is somewhat similar to the Versace emblem, but I'm sure it will appear in your nightmares someday. If you've never seen snakes climb tall trees, here's a great example of making sure it's all about a series of close-knit hugs. Judging by what is happening here, the owner of the boat has definitely done all the secret rituals for successful fishing. The transparency of this fish is like a joke of nature. It is hard to believe that it really exists. Don't you think that if these fish are not fed, they will crawl out of the water and take over the entire planet? It's amazing how spectacular storm clouds can look in front of. Storm! A whole front is looming. It's great that there are places with such a wide perspective. Of course, you are sure that this is a UFO expansion, but no, aliens do not have. Nothing to do with the reflection from the light show in the UK, which was observed by residents of several surrounding areas. Sometimes a volcanic eruption can form vortex rings in the sky. Then you might think he's smoking a pipe. Have you ever heard of the Cave of Death in Costa Rica? This is a place where life is impossible. What we see is not a way to summon spirits from the darkness, just a demonstration that even any glimmer of light that would show you the way is extinguished due to the dense accumulation of carbon dioxide coming out from under the vaults of the cave. It is quite strange to see a powerful fountain of water coming out of the wood under pressure. This happens when too much liquid accumulates in the trunk. Because of this, trees begin to rot from the inside, so it is very important to help them get rid of excess moisture. Pine sap. I wonder if it is tasty. At first glance, it seems that this is a portal to hell, but in fact, it is a measure to improve the health of the olive grove. Old diseased trees are burned to destroy the infection, and the ash is used as fertilizer for new plantings.
What is up with this tree? It is fallen.
This tree fell, but all its branches rushed perpendicular to the ground and became new trees. Let them be suspended in the air, but this demonstrates the unbending power of nature. Even where there is no life, there is something to be surprised at. If a black puddle gurgles in the sand, then it is unlikely to be mud, and you should certainly not come close. Recall that oil begins to boil at a temperature of 28 degrees C, and this is just the usual daytime desert climate. Looking at these coral polyps that are furiously waving their tentacles, you begin to understand where the ancient myths about sea monsters come from. Could you have guessed that snails lay eggs through a hole in neck? Now we can see this with our own eyes. Small lizards have one superpower. They are waterproof and therefore unsinkable. When you see it in a pot of water near your house, you can't tell if it's a giant caterpillar or a dragon. In fact, this is an ordinary snake that has been in the swamp for so long that it is covered with a thick layer of moss as if it has acquired a green fur coat. The fairy tale says, "Catch a fish, big and small." This is how the fish flow appears before the diver's eyes. A school of small fish is followed by larger curators. Look at the size of this monster. The oarfish, according to beliefs, does not appear for good. Wait for earthquakes and tsunamis, and it is unlikely that such a huge catch of fishermen in Peru made other locals very happy. It is one thing to catch a fish in the sea and another to find it on the shore, as if you are waiting for trouble. Usually the inhabitant of the depths, the oarfish or the oarfish, does not swim in shallow water of its own free will. Judging by the number of stork nests, there are no demographic problems in this city. According to legend, storks consistently supply the population with babies and do not forget about the growth of their population. It seems that this mass migration of birds could inspire Hitchcock for a new bestseller. I don't think any forecaster in the world could have predicted this precipitation. Rain in the form of diving birds. Curling up is one skill, and you try to sleep packed in a ball like this. Like a squirrel. I wonder if the owner of the house has noticed that his hound has grown a little while hunting. When you find yourself in a boat a few miles offshore, you can expect to meet the most unusual species of aquatic life. Here you go, meet the river deer. Sicilian hummingbirds are incredibly beautiful. They even have neon lights. The plot, in case you thought that ornithologists have already studied all the species of birds on our planet. It looks like an owl, but I've never seen one before. And you? Relax, these guys are alright. It's just that soft-bodied turtles like to gather in piles in the sand to wait out the winter. This track train seems to have a clear route purpose. I wonder how they manage not only to plan it, but also to organize it. Don't you think that some of the inhabitants of the deep sea look like real gluttons? They stuff the branches inside to absorb anything that is stuck between the villi, and they do so non-stop day and night. This is what it looks like when a meticulous trainer closely monitors your diet and does not allow you to gain extra calories. New Zealand seems to be a small planet in its own right, home to unique plants and animals that are not found anywhere else. Here we see an effective way to collect fat worms for bait, but if you thought that they would go fishing, then you were mistaken. They have a direct road to the restaurant. An unexpected twist. Ask again what exactly the exotic dish you ordered was made of. Who would have thought that a frog could make such sounds? She acted as a true drama queen and achieved her goal. She seriously frightened everyone around. Honestly, I've never seen meowing frogs either. This striped frog did not swallow the cud. It is called a bullfrog precisely because of the peculiar sound similar to mooing. And by inflating, it not only gives itself importance, but also scares away danger. Spiders are everywhere. They don't even need to know how to swim. This beautiful scene arises from frozen methane bubbles that rise from the bottom of the lake and freeze on their way to the surface. Sharp temperature changes in winter, and strong winds can create a bizarre skating rink design on the lake, although underwater ice balls are a really rare sight. The bioluminescent creatures in this lake have given the water an incredible shade of blue that you won't find even in the most chic illuminated pool. Let's turn to the solid form of water. Ice has proven itself as a building material, however, temporary. This winter morning gave the girl a cool cover for the side mirror of her car. It's amazing how winter can turn a car into a real ice sculpture. It's not snow, but a sturdy ice sarcophagus. There is no better anti-stress therapy than watching the ice break into needles and listening to this rustling sound. Ice above and below the water looks just as different as a documentary and a fantasy movie. If you are looking for a truly magical place, you need to visit the lakes near the Canadian city of Alberta during the winter season. The ice there is like colored glass. This monster in the sky is the collective art of the flocks of starlings that run the air show. I must say, they know a lot about special effects. Well, that's all for today. With you was the Eternity Lab channel, a laboratory of ever-relevant content. Right now, click on one of the previous episodes.